Welcome back to Going Walkabout. In 2.5 years of slow travel, we visited over 9 countries and stayed in over 36 different accommodations. In this video, we're going to show you how to choose accommodation, and that's for a short-term or long-term stay. How to get the best deal, how to avoid the bad actors or bad property managers, and hopefully with this you'll be able to have a successful slow travel trip or a short-term stay. We're going to do this in 5 easy steps. And before we begin, I thought what I'd do is show you our current accommodations here in Mexico City. So let's have a look. The condo is 2-bedroom and 2.5 bathrooms. It has a full kitchen in which they supply purified water for us, which is really a big plus. We have a full dining room and these lovely floor-to-ceiling windows, plus a lovely living area for TV watching. Both the master bedroom and the spare bedroom have full closet, and both have really nice bathrooms as well. So it's a great setup to be staying long-term in because you have plenty of room and can have guests. Now, we've done a walkthrough of the whole place. I would love all of you to write in the comments below and tell me what you think we're paying. Stay to the end of the video, and at that point I will reveal what this condo has been costing us nightly and for the month. Let's start with step 1. In step 1, we're going to be choosing our process for choosing our accommodation, and what's really important is to research the area that you want to stay in. You first need to decide, do I want to stay within a city, and if so, the city center? Do I want to stay in a neighborhood, or do I want to stay outside the city? It's real important to find that first before you start looking, because you're going to be doing a more targeted process and looking for accommodation. In this case, I'm going to actually use a place that we'll be going shortly. We're looking at visiting Antigua, Guatemala. And so I'm going to use that as the place for this particular video so that we have an actual place that we're researching to use as an example. Okay, so once you choose your area and your location, then what we're going to do is use either Airbnb or we've used bookings.com to try to find our location, and I'm going to go through the step-by-step process with that as well. I just want to throw a caveat out there. I'm not being sponsored by Airbnb, but we have used them for over 2.5 years and have found them to be very, very good. Had no problems whatsoever. So just want to make sure that y'all know I'm not getting paid for any of this, but over the last 2.5 years, it's predominantly been Airbnb. We have found them to be very, very good. The biggest thing is they handle the monetary transactions, and when you're staying in foreign countries, this can present a huge problem if you don't have a company that's able to do all those exchange rates and wiring money and so forth. So really, that's one big thing. The second thing is their help has been very good. We've always gotten a response if we've had an issue within 24 hours or less. I think that's pretty decent. Plus, they seem to have the most variety of accommodations. Again, we have used booking.com. We use them in Salerno, which is a very small area, and that worked out great too. But Airbnb seems to have the most variety and certainly the quality that we're looking for in a lot of the locations we go to. Okay, here we are on step 2. So step 2, what we're going to do is within Airbnb, we're going to create what I call a wish list. I think they call it a wish list as well. You're going to go ahead and put in the location you want to go to, and I'm going to use Antigua, Guatemala as an example because we're looking to go there shortly. If you're doing slow travel, best to put in a month if you can, because you will get a better rate. Certainly for a longer stay, you're going to get a better rate. So at this juncture, you're going to be putting in your destination, you're going to be putting in the time frame, and you want to put in that there's 2 people. And the reason is that you'll get larger accommodation. If you just put in 1 person, you're definitely going to be served up smaller accommodation. We personally like to have at least a 2-bedroom, 2-bath if we can. Doesn't always work out, but certainly it's nice to have just to give us both some space, and then also in case we have any guests. Okay, so now what you're looking at is all the
the different accommodations in the area that you want to stay in. And what I do is, it's very superficial, but I literally go on the pictures. It looks nice. I go on the price. Our budget is $3,000 or less a month, so I try to stay within that budget. And then I look at things like, very, very quickly, I look at the kitchen. How does that look? Does it look like the bedrooms are roomy enough? I personally can't handle if a bed is against a wall, because I always seem to get that wall side, which is horrible. So things like that are what I look for. What I like, I just put into the wish list. I don't do a deep dive on anything. I just go by kind of price, criteria, and then I put it in the wish list. And that's kind of the first phase of really looking for accommodation. What you can do once you get your wish list is you'll be able to actually click on, it says map below, click on the map, and it's going to show you where those different accommodations are that you've chosen, where they fall within the area that you're looking at. Now, we like to be close to a park because we like to do walking. So it allows you to kind of look and see where these different accommodations fall that would be appropriate for you on your stay. Hey, we're already at step 3. Now, this is where we actually have to put a little bit more time in. And I usually don't do this until about a month before we're ready to travel. So what I'm looking at now is I'm going to be doing a deep dive on all of the different ratings and reviews. And it's pretty important to go into that thoroughly. I will tell you though that 2 of the best stays that we've had have been on places that had no reviews and had no ratings because it was the first time that they were on Airbnb. One of them was here in Mexico City. The second place was just more recently in Palm Desert, California, and the gentleman needed more reviews for his property. So again, we were able to get the property for $92 a night, and it was quite beautiful. Show you pictures around here, either side, so that you can see what those look like. So don't be afraid if there's no reviews. That's when it's good to sometimes reach out to the actual property manager or owner before you actually commit to reserving. Okay, the reviews area is really critical. You need to make sure that you click on amenities, where it says amenities. You need to go through that list very thoroughly. You're gonna look for things that you take for granted most of the time, like heating and cooling. Make sure they have those. In most cases, a lot of foreign countries, they'll have a washer, a clothes washer, but no dryer. They hang their wash. But if that's important to you, you need to look for that. I have found that it's important for me to be very, very careful about the kitchen area because we do most of our cooking in. That's why we do slow travel. That's why we do Airbnb, is so that we can cook our own meals and save money that way. But I want to make sure the kitchen has enough in it that I can actually do cooking. So I scrutinize that area pretty heavily. If a place does not have some of the things that you want, then that is the time that you need to reach out to the actual property manager. Now, in this one that I'm showing you, it says that it has no air, no heating, but it also says it has no hot water. That's kind of a problem. I've seen this before, and I've reached out to people and said in advance, do you really not have hot water? And 9 out of 10 times they've said, oh, that's an error. But it's real important to do that because what if they didn't? What if you got there and they had no hot water? I mean, cold showers can be a bummer after a month. So definitely worth going through this with a fine-tooth comb. And before you click the reserve button, make sure you reach out to that property manager and clarify anything that you feel at all fuzzy or skeptical about. Okay, so step 4. So we've gone through the amenities, we've kind of looked at the location, made sure that's good. Now what we want to do is really do a deep dive on the actual reviews. And in this case, they've got like 118 reviews. What I usually do is try to read the 20 or 30 most recent. And I know that sounds like a lot, but it's funny how sometimes one review, just one, can be really bad, and that's the one that might be kind of telling the truth. I'm checking for things like, are the beds comfortable? It sounds crazy, but we've had a lot of just uncomfortable beds. Do things in the kitchen work? Is the property manager friendly? Here in Mexico City, you have doormen on the door 24/7. So things where they add, hey, the doorman's really nice, the staff in the building is really nice. Those kind of things make a big difference. So I check all of that very thoroughly. And then a lot of times what I'll find in the comments is they'll explain things that are nice and close. In Palermo, we were literally over a grocery store. It was awesome. I literally just had to go downstairs and there was a grocery store. Because of reading the reviews here on this place in Polanco, I knew that there was a grocery store literally around the corner, and it is super. So going through the reviews is the next to the final process that's gonna help you really determine if that property is the right one for you. So you've nailed down the location, you've nailed down the ones that are within your price circle, you've looked at the amenities and you feel comfortable with that, then you're gonna read the reviews. Okay, step 5. So we've done all those steps, and this is kind of my final one, and I think it's the one that has really helped me not have any problems, knock on wood, over the last 2.5 years. And that's that if I have any doubt or skepticism at all, I message the host. And my expectation is that I hear back from that host in less than 12 hours. That to me has been incredibly helpful. I have had a couple of times that I did not hear back from the host that promptly, and that's a huge red flag to me. Because if they're not willing to work a little bit before I push the reserve button, then what's gonna happen after I hit the reserve button? And I usually try to think up something, you know, just here in Mexico, it's a lot about the water. Do they have a water filter? Most don't. If they don't, as in this place, they actually supply free water jugs for us and they fill them up whenever we need it. That's huge. That's a pretty nice cost savings every week because you go through a lot of water. So you kind of want to just make sure that you feel really comfortable and that that property manager or owner is respectful and getting back to you promptly. Another part of step 5 that we'll want to go over is we're going to look in the area that basically says how they want you to perform while you're in their accommodation. And if we're looking at this one that's here in Antigua, we can see that they don't allow parties, they don't allow pets, they don't allow smoking. That's all pretty standard, but again, make sure that you look at this information because they have the ability to kick you out if you do any of those things. The one thing that's unusual here is they have a jacuzzi that can be used, and they are saying that if you want to use the jacuzzi, you have to give your passport at the time of reserving, your passport or your tax ID number, because there's some weird law in Guatemala about paying for the electricity on a jacuzzi. I've never seen that before, but that's a great example of why you need to read the small print in these areas. These will also be the areas that will tell you what you need to do if you leave. It used to be pretty bad. Some of the owners would ask you to do a lot of cleaning and housekeeping before you left, and that's not happening so much anymore. Like, if all of those things line up, step 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, then you can go ahead and hit that reserve button. Because the minute you hit that button, Airbnb debits your credit card. And if you want to get money back, it's going to take you 10 days, where it takes them 10 seconds to literally take the money. So before we hit that button, we try to make sure we've checked the box on all of those 5 steps. So taking the time to go through these 5 steps, and it does require time, it does require some dedication, has really helped us over the last 2.5 years to have really nice stays at Airbnbs and actually become friends with many of our hosts. And now, drum roll, time for the big reveal. How much are we paying for this place here in Mexico City? We are paying $100 a night, which comes out to $3,000 for the month, which we felt was a really good deal. Been very happy with the staff and everybody here. So please leave your thoughts down below. Let me know if these 5 steps have been helpful. Let me know what you thought initially we paid for this condo, if you thought it was a good deal or not. I feel like it's a really good deal. And I hope so much that this information has been helpful to you and will help you have smooth sailing on your travels as you move forward.
Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, or better yet, subscribe. Cheers for now. We'll see you next week.